So let me talk about the mod or modulus. This is part 2 of number 8. So when you look at the mod of a number, just to recap on how we understand mod. If I said 8 mod 5, what does that equal? Well, this number left of your remainder, it will be 3, right? Because 5 goes into 8 one time, the remainder is 3. What is 20 mod 5? That would be 0, right? Because 4 times 5 is 20 and there's no remainder. What is 13 mod 2? Okay, 2 times 6 is 12, so you have a remainder of 1. Okay, let's do some more just to recap. What is reverse this thing? If you notice the first number on the left hand side of the percent, that will give you a number with this. If you took the other way, flip this other way around, what is 5 mod 8? That would be what? 5. Okay, equals 5. What is 20? Let's 5 mod, meaning percent, 20 will give you 25. Okay, so what is 2 mod 13 equals is the 2. What if you have, what is 5 mod 5 equals 0, right? So again, there's just to recap. If you look at the pattern here, the left-hand side of the percent, if it's larger than the right number of this, and there's going to be some sort of remainder. If the left-hand side is smaller than your right-hand side, as a rule of thumb, it's going to give you the same numbers on the left-hand side. Of course, 5 mod 5 is there's no remainder. So that's just a recap on some basic arithmetic math I want to capture with you. In this part, what we're looking for are, we need to compare that first number that if it's an odd or number. And it's very important that how we figure this out. So if you take the first number, okay, if you take that first number, you need to write just a simple selection loop with this thing. Is that first number that you read in, that comes up from here, right? So you're going to, whatever is stored in that first number from part A, that's what's going to be stored in the memory. So you need to test that to see if your first num mod 2, does that equal, you're testing this, you're not assigning it, so it has to be 2 equal sign. If it equals to a 0, what do you know? Your first number is what? Is true, so it is an even number, right? But more important on this, I want to take that first number and I'm going to add a 1 to it. Now this is very important because if you look at what's here, what you need to realize in this is that when you put in a number, such as I told you 1 is first num and the second number is 10, and I would output, you need to output what? Give me all the odd numbers in this thing. So you need to output what? Inclusive 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 numbers from the range of 1 is first num and the second number is 10. So you have to look at the count, is my point. There has to be some sort of counter that actually tracks the number that you're outputting this thing. So here, my whole point in saying is we have to declare another variable in here that is a counter. And I'm going to call that thing counter. Just a simple counter with this thing. Now, I'm going to come down to this thing. I want to assign this to equal to counter. Okay? So if my first number that I'm reading in, I'm going to add 1 to it. So that first number is, in the case I just shared with you, is 1. I add 1 to it, it becomes 2, right? Basically with this thing. So that makes it what? It's an even number. Now, coming down here, I'm going to actually, what if this is an odd? What if I did a mod 2 and then I have a remainder? So that becomes an else. If it's an else, I need to assign the first number to equal to the counter. Then I know it's an odd. Okay, so this right here, this little simple structure right here tells me if I divide by 2 and there's no remainder, it's going to be an even number. I'm going to add 1 to it, assign it to the counter. If I divide by 2, if it equals to 0, then I'm going to assign, meaning if it's false, there's a remainder, then I'm going to give that counter an odd number. Okay, that's what I want to start out with, because when you start to count, what I just told you up there with it is, for example, that range I just gave you, 1, second number is 10, and it's going to output what? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, right? Look, you start counting with an odd number. So this is a 1, 2, 3. This is your inclusive. Look, this is your num 1. This is going to be your first num. This is your first num right here. Alright? Your first num is this first num right here. You add 2 to this. This makes what? Count 2. Counter becomes 2. Okay? And then that's where you got your second number in this thing. So you notice how I added 1 to make this. This is becoming a counter 2. If this isn't false, what they're saying, your first number is false, then your counter is the first number. Okay, so that's the first thing. So we need to output this thing. We need to output this thing. So I'm going to take that out. We need to output this thing to the screen with this thing. So let me do this. Cout, output this thing. So how do you get this to the screen? Odd integers between the first num and the second num are, I don't know, let's give this another string here. Okay, are what? So we need to put this into another loop with this thing, is my point. Okay, so this is where all of this, okay, is all initialization, believe it or not. Let me check my time here.